Welcome to Telly Talk, where we talk about what's on the telly, and by that we mean what's on our mind, because we're Telly. I'm Tyler, and I've never seen Over the Garden Wall.
So
Yeah?
yeah, and I think
Is
I'm
that it?
becoming a tree.
Your soul? So in this episode of Telly Talk, we are going to be discussing episode 5, 6, and 7
5, 6,
of
and
the
7.
Cartoon Network short series Over the Garden Wall. We have had 2 other episodes where we discussed episode 1 and 2, and episode 3 and 4. Next week we will be discussing episodes 8, 9, and 10. In the following week, we will be doing a final recap, processing all of the lore and putting the
Yeah.
story together.
I'm excited.
Would you like to give a summary of episode 5?
Of course I would. So everyone snuggle up on the couch, grab a blanket, grab some hot tea or some hot cocoa, and start start slipping on that while I tell you what episode 5 is all about. So episode 5, it has the intro, has the little intro music, it fades out, fades in, the sound of a train horn. It goes choo, and it fades out. It's very important. You have to keep that in mind. That train horn. Keep that in mind. And
I do think the intro sounds and clip in the train horn and the music has the vibes of Sandra and Richard. When you would edit that,
yes, yeah,
is that what you were going for?
kinda, yeah.
Subconsciously,
I guess
yeah,
maybe I don't know.
yeah.
So then we fade in, and we see that Wirt, Greg, and Beatrice and Fred the horse are all sitting at this beautiful dining table in this beautiful mansion with this random guy named Endercott. And he's this really rich guy who lives in this really big mansion, and he sells tea. And he makes tea in his big ass mansion. He has a huge tea garden, and he lives alone, and he's a little bit crazy, like I am right now. And Beatrice made Greg and Wirt pretend to be Endercott's nephews so they could get money to ride the ferry to get them to Adelaide's house. That sounds like a song lyric. So they, it's kind of fucked up because I feel like they're tricking a crazy person, which isn't very nice. But all they need is 2 pennies to cross this river, and Wirt thought they were gonna steal millions of dollars from him. But when he heard of his 2 pennies, he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm in with this." And I think it was really funny when Fred the horse, or like Wirt was like, "Fred can do anything he wants. He's his own horse now." And the horse goes, "I want to steal." And then Wirt goes, "Oh, okay, how dare you?" And it was really funny. It's a really good line. So, as they go looking around the house to look at Endercott's really expensive stuff, Beatrice and Wirt split off from the group to find some loose change so they could take 2 pennies. Well, Greg is a great distractor. He's got a lot of charisma in him. So Greg and Fred the horse go with Endercott and go look at their expensive stuff, and then Endercott reveals that he believes there's a ghost in his mansion, and he's spooked by the ghost because there's this one part before he reveals that he's afraid of a ghost. Is when Fred and Beatrice are looking at his little fancy egg collection. They go ooh, and Endercott's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he starts getting all sweaty, and he's like, "There's a ghost in my mansion." And so Greg really wants to see the ghost. Fred's afraid of the ghost. And Beatrice and Wirt are going to find loose change. They end up climbing in this armoire because they thought Endercott was coming back, but actually it was the white peacock tapping out the window. So they get stuck in this armoire because you can't open it from the inside. But they end up finding a secret passage that leads to this little stairwell. So Wirt and Beatrice find this little dungeon area, this little stone place, and they end up telling each other's backstories. We get to know who they are outside of the forest area. And so Beatrice, we find out that she is a human and that she has a human family, and she cursed her family by throwing a rock at a bluebird, which we don't know who cursed her. It could have been Adelaide, because in the future episodes she's the one, she goes to Adelaide to try and get the special scissors to make her human again. So it could have been Adelaide that cursed her. We don't know who cursed her. I don't think we ever find out who curses her. I think it just happened. What we find about Wirt is that he has a crush on a girl named Sarah, and we're like, who the fuck is Sarah? Where is he from? Who is this? What is this? And we also find out he plays the clarinet. And we also low-key find out that he likes poetry and that he's really into architecture because he ends up finding this crawl space.
I said he's like a history nerd because he's like, oh, this doesn't go with his Georgian sensibilities. And I was like, dude, you're into architecture history?
Yeah.
What a nerd.
Yeah.
He's so cute. I just love when they're talking about his crush and the fact that he played the clarinet, and Beatrice called it his character traits. That cracked me up. I love meta
Those
shit.
are his character traits. And they crawl into this like fireplace area and they crawl out and they realize they're in a different part of the house, but it doesn't match Endercott's house. So they're like, wait, where are we? And he's like, and then Wirt has this like light bulb moment where he's like, wait a minute, this is different. And then it cuts back to Greg and the horse and Endercott, who's showing him the tea garden, and then they go to the room with the lady, the portrait with the lady. And he's like, he's in love with the portrait, the lady in the portrait. He's like, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I saw her, and she's a ghost. She's a ghost that's haunting this house, this part of the house. But we end up finding out that the lady walks in, and then the man and the women are terrified because they're like, oh my god, it's the ghost that's haunting my house. But actually, they're just like living in each other's houses because they've built their houses into each other's houses because their houses are so big that they just never notice that their houses are connected. And she ends up being the tea competitor. She ends up owning a different tea company that's his competitor, and then they end up falling in love, probably getting married, and then Fred the horse ends up working for Endercott, and then the lady and the man give Greg 2 pennies as a helpful for helping them solve the mystery of the ghosts.
And I was like, oh, everything is important. Are these pennies gonna be important later? And then Greg just tosses them in a fountain, and Bert's like, what the fuck, man? And Greg's like, he said I have no sense.
Well, they needed the pennies to get onto the ferry. So Greg throws the pennies in the fountain, the fish.
Oh, when they were saying that they were gonna rob them, like that?
Yeah, it's like, we need 2 pennies to cross the river, and Wirt's like, oh, 2 pennies? Oh, okay, I'm okay with stealing then. If he just has some loose change laying around.
Oh, fuck, I just didn't connect that to the end pennies. I didn't connect the dots. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
And Greg throws them away, and Wirt and Beatrice are like, we need those. That's the end of the episode. They walk off, and then it cuts to episode 6, where they're already on the ferry. So what did...
Wow, I love connections.
What did you think about episode 5?
I thought episode 5 was so fucking funny, and we had some really cool lore drops, so I really, really liked episode 5. It might be my favorite one so far. Okay. Greg was so funny this episode. This was Greg's funniest episode, actually. Like, I watched this, and I was like, I see why you like... He gets funnier. Like, the first 2 episodes, he was whatever. And then, like, 3 and 4, I was like, you're right, he's funny. And then this one, holy shit, this boy's hilarious, and he's so cute. So the first thing I noted was he was calling this man that he just met, but knowing he was pretending to be his nephew, he was calling him Unky. He was calling his fake uncle Unky. That is adorable. The uncle was like, you know me well, nephew, which I thought was hilarious, because why is this man just not suspicious at all? He's just like, yeah, my nephews. And then Greg says something like, there's floaty things, and then Greg calls him old man, just really casually, like they're just pals, like, yeah, old man. And then the peacock just comes out randomly, which was so random. What is this show?
The white
and
peacock.
Then Greg calls it a chicken, and then the old man is like, I'm losing my mind, and I've lost my mind. And Greg's like, well, we'll look for your mind after. He's so funny.
Yeah, I love Greg.
Before we find out that the old woman and the old man are living in, like, the same mansion, they get to, like, the old woman's room, and there's like a crime scene type looking thing. They don't find the ghost that they're looking for, because they think they're going to see a ghost. And the fake uncle, the Funkle, I'm gonna call him the Funkle. The Funkle is like, I've gone mad. And Greg's like, don't be mad. And then Greg's like, what is this suspicious mess over here? Referencing the crime scene looking room. And then the horse is like, there has been a violent struggle. And then the horse, like, has figured out this entire dark backstory about how this man murdered the woman who lived in the house and was pretending to be the man of the house. And I was like, holy shit, how'd the horse figure that out with so little information? The show is so dark. And then it's like, haha, no, surprise. They just live in the same house, and then they kissed. And I was like, oh, never mind, this is not as dark as I thought it was going to be.
They can't do that. It's a kid's show.
I
It would've
know,
never gotten
but
approved.
the fact that they brought it up. Anyway, so the horse is funny, Greg is funny. I'm sad there's no more horse. But going on to Beatrice and Wirt's plot, they had like a really cute moment at the end of the episode, and them going into that little like closet thing and getting stuck. It was like some Narnia type shit. And then Beatrice is like, yeah, you know, when I used to be human. And Wirt's like, did I know that? I don't think I knew that. And that's how I felt watching this. I was like, am I supposed to have known that? She said it so casually. Wirt's like, I have secrets. And I was like, what are his secrets? And his secrets were just normal 14-year-old boy things.
Yeah.
And then Beatrice was like, I will do anything to save my family. And I was trying to figure out if she was like, if this backstory was made up or true. And it's like, I bet it's important that she would do almost anything. I just love their friendship because it seems like they were really good friends at the end of this episode. And it was really, really cute. And I really liked it.
You don't have any questions about the white peacock?
Okay, I know you say everything is important, but I just thought that was funny.
Oh,
But
so
I guess
you
they
think
didn't
the turtles had like a deep dark secret, but you don't think the white peacock means something?
Listen, the turtles appear again in the 7th episode. Of course I think the turtles have a deep dark secret. You were like, no, Tyler, there's just a ton of turtles everywhere.
Yeah.
And in the 7th episode, there are a fuck ton of turtles everywhere.
They're just turtles. They're just turtles.
Okay, so what is the peacock?
The peacock is supposed to represent it. It's supposed to bring like luck and prosperity, but for the show I've read that it's supposed to represent immortality and eternal life after death. And people connected this to the line after the peacock breaks into the tea room and the Endercott freaks out. After that happens, he says, "Into the abyss, never to return," and everyone's like, "Ooh, that's spooky. It means death."
Interesting.
Yeah,
Metaphors.
the turtles are just turtles.
Oh my god, I hate you. I guess when things don't get explained in the episode, then I should assume it has a meaning, like the rock with the eyes and the peacock.
That's the rock fact. Rock.
Episode 6.
Alright, so the title screen fades in. They get the intro music. It fades out, fades in. The train horn. It goes choo, and it fades out. Keep that in mind.
It goes choo. You're so
mind.
funny.
And so we fade out, and then we fade in.
What is the train horn? This is some Infinity Train type of show.
Keeping that in mind. So we fade out, and then we fade back
confused.
in.
Are they like Are they dead?
And we fade back in, and we're on the ferry. We're like, wait a minute, they don't have the coins, so how did they get on the ferry? Then we find out that they just snuck on the ferry without paying, which I did that when I was in New Zealand. Mostly because I forgot to scan my card, and I just got on, and then the police caught me, and they were like, "You can't do that. That's very bad." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get fined. I'm gonna go to jail. I'm gonna fucking die." And then I got off the boat, and they're like, "Don't do that." And then they let me go. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Jail.
Didn't have to pay anything. So Wirt, Greg, and George Washington and Beatrice are all on the boat together. And all the frogs are more humanoid than normal. Even George Washington, he's walking on 2 feet. He's singing. He's dancing.
Yeah, what's happening with that? Why is... Okay, I love how many different names Greg calls him. He gives him a different name every time he refers to him. And why was George Washington more... Like, he, like, assimilated with the other frogs and became more human. And it was weird. It was weird. He looked bigger.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
But you can't just have a normal frog next to humanoid frogs. You'd be like, that looks weird. So you have to make him humanoid.
Okay, yeah, I just want to say that, like, the intro music is happening, and then immediately we see Frogland, and there's a little silly soundtrack in the background. I loved just back-to-back banger music. The Frog soundtrack, incredible.
Yeah, and this was one of the more sillier episodes. It had, like, the classic chase again, like in episode 4.
It reminded me of Tom and Jerry. There's a Tom and Jerry episode where they're on like a really big boat like this, and the chase just brought me back to that Tom and Jerry episode I watched on DVD as a kid.
That's amazing. I've been trying to rewatch Tom and Jerry, but I can't find the original ones from like the 80s. So Greg, Wirt, George Washington, and Beatrice are trying not to get caught by the frog police. There's 2 frog cops on the boat, and so they're kind of like running around. And George Washington's naked, and so that's what first brings the attention from the cops. And so they start the chase. They run around. Wirt, I think, runs into the couple with the baby tadpoles, and then they're like, "Oh my god!" And then Wirt tries to scoop them up, but then the cops are coming, so they have to run. And then the cop fucking steps on the babies and slips on them. He steps on the babies. And everyone,
That's dark.
nobody's like reacting to that. The parents are like, "Oh my god, my babies!" But everyone's like, "Ha ha ha!" Like, what the fuck? It's not funny. They're stepping on babies. What the fuck?
It's really dark
So the
if you
chase
think about
continues,
it.
and they run by the captain, and they all salute the captain, and then they keep running, and then they go into the closet, and then they do like the 2 kids in a trench coat type thing, where Wirt has George Washington on his shoulders, and then he puts the band hat on him, and then what's his name? Greg puts a drum on his head, and they're supposed to be like in the frog band that's playing on the ferry. And so they walk out, the cops are like, "Oh, they're in the band." And then the band director's like, "Get in the band." And then they get on stage, and Wirt's about to start banging on Greg's head because he's the drum head, and he accidentally hits the bassoon player, who ends up falling very long and comedically off the boat, again stepping on all the fucking babies, which is so scary and so weird and so sad. And everyone's like, "The bassoon player," and they really like the bassoon player, and so Wirt's like, "I don't want to play this."
And they're really mad. Everyone's like ready to start a mob because there's no bassoon.
Yeah, Beatrice is like, "You have to play the bassoon." He's like, "Okay, I'll play the bassoon." He plays the bassoon. He's great at the bassoon, because he plays clarinet, even though
this episode had so much lore in it. The first half had so much like hints, because the whole like part where Beatrice is really, really sad and we don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you know how we were talking about George Washington being more human like the other frogs? I literally wrote down, did his frog get bigger?
Yeah. Then George Washington starts singing. He has a beautiful voice, and all the frogs are happy again. And then, before we move on to the other half of the episode, a little Easter egg in this part of the episode. On the back of the boat, it says McLaughlin Bros, which is a reference to these 2 guys who were, I think they made board games in kind of the vintage style that the show is made in. And I think they also made books. And in some of the games that they put out, they had humanoid frogs. And so that's kind of like a reference to them. And I guess
okay, that's cool.
The creator really liked their style and their games.
Wait, can we stop here and talk about this half? Because it's like 2 different episodes, man.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have so many things to talk just about this half of the episode where nothing happened. I loved it so much. There's 2 parts. There's like a silly part and there's like a character plot. So let's do the sillies first. I think it's really, really cute that Greg starts singing his little "We're Going to See Adelaide" song.
Yeah.
And then Wirt starts singing with him, like having a silly little time. I think that's really cute development. That Wirt's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sing with you," like with no issues at all. Which is actually it connecting to the next part of the story though. Wirt does say like, "Oh, I'm really glad Greg wasn't there because he would embarrass me." So I think that's like a really interesting difference about it. Really shows his character development, right? The fact that he used to think that Greg would embarrass him, and now he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sing a silly little song with my little brother."
Well, he says that after he sings a song.
I know, but he's talking about something that happened in the past. He's like, "Oh, Greg would have embarrassed me," but yeah, okay, and then Greg is like showing his little George Washington frog is like, obviously he's a man because Wirt's like, we don't know the gender of the frog. And Greg's like, he's manly. We got to get him some socks or something like that. And I thought that was funny.
He does get his socks in his episode after when Greg and Wirt end up going to Adelaide's. You see him get his socks.
Yeah. And I love when things connect in the show. Everything connects and it's beautiful. And then Greg becomes a drum. Like, he just becomes a drum with eyes and legs.
Yeah,
and it's the funniest thing I've ever... Please do. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then he has Wirt hit him and he just goes, "Ow." And then where it's like act natural, and then he just starts drumming, and he's like, "This is natural. I'm a drum."
Oh, I
And
remember what
then
I wanted to say.
they're
I
trying to
don't know if you're
convince
talking or
Wirt to play
not.
the bassoon, even though he was a
I'll
clarinet
just
player.
wait.
And Wirt's like, "No, they have entirely different embouchures." And that was such a funny word to throw out in a kids show. Man, middle school band. And then when Beatrice and Greg, because Wirt was like, "You guys don't. No one wants to hear me play the bassoon," and I thought it was so cute that they did. Both of them are like, "I do." Like, they care about him, and that was adorable. And then George Washington started singing. When did he learn to talk? I think he's like getting. This show's getting trippier. Like, he's
Oh,
becoming
just wait till episode
like.
8.
Oh my
It gets
fucking god.
fucked up.
He's becoming like. He's becoming more like the other frogs, and it's terrifying. Everyone is dressed so old-timey, and all of the episodes, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that hints to what time period this is in, because it's like such an old fairy tale aesthetic, and we were trying to figure out what time period this is in, and everyone's dressed so old-timey.
I
Like,
know
the
what
frogs
time
were just
period
old-timey.
it is.
And then George Washington is singing the song, and it's really, really cute, and I'm just like vibing. And then at the end of the song, he says the name of the show. The song ends with him being like, "Over the garden wall" in his song. And I'm like, wait, I forgot the songs are important. And then I had to rewind and re-listen to the song, and really I didn't hear anything else important in the song. But he said the name of the show, right? But it was like, it didn't really feel like it meant anything. So I still don't know what the show title, like, I don't know why it's called
You'll
that,
get
but he
it.
sang it in his song. And why does the frog know? Why does the frog know and not me?
The frog's been
And
there
then
the entire time.
no, but why does he know the name of why it's?
He's been
Where did
here
the frog come
entire
from?
time.
Like,
You'll learn.
he
You'll
like
see.
Greg had him when he walked in, right? So, like, where did this frog come from? Because it's new. Because Greg is just trying to figure out his name still, and now I have so many questions about the fucking frog. And then they get off the boat, and Greg just covers himself in mud like the frogs, and it was so funny, and I love him. And then at the end of the episode, Greg calls George Washington Ben Franklin, and I thought that was hilarious that he just went with a different old person name.
Yeah. I'm surprised he knows this many presidents. At 5? I knew no one. So Patrick McHale, when he was writing this show, the reason why there's like funny, mindless parts of the show, like episode 4 and like this part of episode 6,
Yeah.
he thought that the show would be too boring to just constantly have lore, and so he kind of had to like give in because like people were telling
Make it
him
kiddier.
they're like, this is kind of boring, and I feel like kids won't stay focused on it. Like you have to add a little funny. Mindless humor, and he's like, ugh, I guess like if I have to, and that's why this is all there. He was just afraid that people are gonna find it too boring.
That's fair.
And that's why he gave in, but it's still good.
No, it's really good, and I like that it like it's like not it like calls back to old style cartoon funnies, like Tom and Jerry type of shit. At one point, Wirt said something about how he has face problems in the episode, and I don't remember the context of that, but I wrote next to it.
Sometimes you gotta face your problems. Sometimes you gotta turn yourself in and get kicked off the boat.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was important for like future character moments.
Yeah, well, Beatrice doesn't want to go to Adelaide anymore because she knows what Adelaide is.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about that next, but like, I do wonder if like there's gonna be a character moment where Wirt has to like instead of running from his problems, like face his problems.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's like the whole point of the show.
Perfect. That's a great line for it. So Beatrice is really, really sad. You're like, why is she sad? And it's like it seems because she's sad like this entire first half of the episode. And It seems like she's sad because she really likes them and is sad about what's going to happen to them when they go to Adelaide's. And there are two theories that you could have at this point in the show before we know what happens. And I think the two theories is that she likes them and she's finally made friends and she doesn't want to be lonely again if Adelaide sends them home, assuming Adelaide's good and sends them home, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna miss my friends. Or assuming Adelaide's bad, she knows that something's gonna happen and she feels bad that she's taking them there and lying about it. Or it could be a combination, like she feels bad that something's bad's gonna happen and also she's their friends and she cares about them and she like doesn't want to lose them. And then we find out which one of those two is correct later in the episodes, but those were like the two routes I felt like you could explain her sadness at that point in the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those are good thoughts.
And then when Greg's a drum, he's just hitting himself, and I was like, man, he really goes to the beat of his own drum. Describe the second half of the episode.
So Greg, Beatrice, George Washington, and Wirt, they all get off the ferry, and then Greg and George Washington. There's too many names. There's George Washington. They jump in the mud because they're like mud time. They're hibernating, and then Wirt and Beatrice are like talking. He starts talking about his life again, and he mentions Jason Funderburker. We don't like Jason Funderburker, and you'll find out why.
Jason Funderburker. We find out why. I can't believe we find out everything. I can't believe this.
Yeah, nothing is useless in this.
I can't believe everything makes sense in this show.
We don't like.
I'm flabbergasted right now. I need to see the last 3 episodes. I'm like I'm shitting myself right now.
You
don't even know.
Right
I'm shitting myself right now.
You're shitting yourself right
now? Listen, I'm shitting myself right now.
You're shitting yourself right now?
Yes! How many times are you gonna make me say it?
One more time.
I'm shitting myself right now, man.
So, we hear about Jason Funderburker. We don't like him, but you'll figure out why in the future. And the frog gets a singing contract. We'll go George Washington, good job. And then Greg goes, "You done good, Mr. President," as he gets his contract. And then that's when we lose George Washington until the end of the episode. Greg and Wirt go to sleep, and then Beatrice flies off to go to Adelaide first because she wants to go talk to her. But Wirt and Greg, they wake up and they're like, "Hey, where are you going?" And then so they follow off. And then Greg's like cuddling his rock because George Washington's away, so he can't cuddle George Washington. And Greg is so cute because he's like all sleepy and he's like, I'm coming. And they walk through the grass and try and follow Beatrice, and they go to Adelaide's home. But first, we cut to the Beatrice in Adelaide's house, and she flies through the chimney, and Adelaide's in bed. Like, she's this old lady. She's an old lady. And she's like, "Close the chimney pipe flume thing. The cold, crispy air is bad for my skin." And then Beatrice is like, "Okay." So she closes it, and she's all dirty, and she's like, "I can't give you the children." And she's like, "Give me the children, I need servants." And she's like, "No, I won't give you them." And she's like, "Well, I need servants." And then she's like, "I'll be your servant." She's like, "You're a bird." She's like, "But you have the scissors that I need to cut my wings to become a human again and save my family." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I can use the scissors to turn you into a human so you can be my servant." And then Wirt and Greg come in and they're like, "Hey, what's going on? What's up?" And then Adelaide's like, "Oh my god, those are the children you brought me." And Beatrice is like, "No, you guys can't be here." And then Adelaide, she pulls her strings and then she ties them all up. She's like, "I got you guys." And then Wirt's like, "Oh my god, Beatrice, I can't believe you betrayed us." Beatrice is like, "No, I'm trying to save you. I told you guys not to come. I'm trying to save you guys." But Wirt's like, "No, how dare you? You brought us here all along to turn us in so we could be servants for this lady." And then Beatrice flies over to the window and opens the window, and then Adelaide's like, "No, the cold, crisp air in my bones." And then she disintegrates into dust. But before that, actually after that, the scissors fall right in front of Wirt. Keep that in mind. And so
I was wondering what happened to the scissors. Fuck.
Yeah, Wirt picked them up. And Beatrice disintegrates Adelaide, and then unties them, and then Wirt's all betrayed, and then he takes Greg and runs away. And Beatrice is like, "No, wait!" And then Greg and Wirt end up just traveling. They split up. Beatrice is on her own, and then Wirt and Greg are on their own again, like in the beginning of the show. And Ben Franklin ends up finding them and joining them back again at the end of the episode.
So I thought it was really, really cute when Beatrice and Wirt were talking, and Wirt was like, "Huh, I guess I could stay here forever," and like both of them seemed happy with that idea. I thought that was adorable. I really like the way their friendship has progressed. I noticed like a really nice shot that was just Greg holding his rock, and I was like, important question mark? But maybe it just shows that Greg has the rock. So Beatrice is at the place, and when like Wirt and Greg come in, they don't even know that like she's trying to help and is like she's like literally sacrificing herself for them. She's like, "I will be your slave," so that they don't have to be. I also thought it was sweet that she felt so bad when she didn't even know Like yes, she was like giving them to her so she could be free in her family, but honestly, it seemed like she didn't know how bad it was going to be. She's like, "Oh, I thought you just needed some yard work done." Like she just thought that she was giving these boys to her for like mow their lawn, and in return she would be human again, which is like that's not even like a bad thing to do. Like I don't, it didn't seem like she realized like these people were going to be her servants, question mark.
Yeah.
So like she's not even bad for this in my opinion. And then this the lore drop that Adelaide works for the Beast, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's dead so easily, so fast. And I'm like, wow, this felt like such a big plot we've been building up to, like the whole Beatrice lore. And then like this whole second half of the episode, all of this happened in the span of like 4 minutes, and I was like, wow, this plot moves so fast. Like this has had so much build up to
I
it.
swear
I
it
feel
was
like, and
longer
then
when I was a
all
kid.
done. I feel like it would have been for sure. I am so impressed at the pacing of this show to make it both have meaningless fun moments and be so packed with everything being important and having character growth and everything make sense with 10-minute long
Yeah.
episodes. Like, I have never been so impressed at the pacing of a writing ever before.
So metaphors. So Adelaide, if you look closely at her character design, she has a little hourglass on her back, which is supposed to look like a black widow spider, and she's supposed to represent spiders. Because she got her webbing with her yarn and stuff, and
Mm.
um, black widows usually keep like little guys to do their work for them, aka like attract other things to be food.
Wait, I have a
That's so bad.
question. I know that Adelaide was going to use the scissors to make Beatrice no longer a bird, but was she the one who turned her into a bird?
I don't think we ever find out who turned Adelaide into a bird. I think it
You mean
was,
Beatrice?
yes. I think it was Adelaide, but she couldn't go outside, so I don't think it was Adelaide.
Yeah, who turned Beatrice and her family into birds?
I
I'm
don't think we
confused.
ever find out.
Okay, after I finish watching the show, I'm gonna try and find out.
And so Adelaide looks like a witch. I mean, she is a witch. She has these magical scissors that look like birds. You can actually buy the scissors online. They're like old vintage, like
That's
embroidery
cute.
scissors, which are used for sewing and stuff. Um, they were made before the show, so it's like something he picked to reference. And Adelaide's like allergic to the cold air. She's just allergic to the outdoors. Which I think kind of alludes to like,
And then how did Beatrice find Adelaide and like know that Adelaide could like cut her wings off?
I mean, just how gossip goes through the forest.
Yeah, I guess, especially because we know that other woman from episode 7 is like, "Oh, beware my sister Adelaide."
Yeah. Adelaide kind of reminds me of the other mother from Coraline, but also
Oh
the
yeah.
Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz because she just disintegrates
Oh my god,
from
you're
just
so
an
right.
element. She was working with the Beast, and I think she's obtaining children to give to the Beast, like after she
And so do
uses
you think
them.
okay, so she was gonna make them her slaves, and when she was done with that, give to Beast
Yeah.
for unknown reasons.
Well, just because I think, I don't know why, but like I think she just liked him.
Gay.
Yay. It's very straight.
Straight. Like Adelaide is not the big villain, even though it seemed like she was the big villain for a while. Like she died so quickly.
Yeah,
It
she
was
died
it
so
really surprised
quickly,
me.
which means she like wasn't as important as you think.
Yeah,
Um,
which was crazy because they talked about her so much.
Wirt takes the scissors, and you kind of see it at the beginning of episode 7, I think, where Beatrice is still at the house looking through Adelaide's house, and I was like, what is she looking for? But then I remembered the scissors, and the scissors just
Aww.
disappear. And we're like, where did the scissors go? Wirt has the scissors. But we never see Wirt take the scissors. I mean, he never says, hey, I have these scissors. You just have to, like, connect the dots on your own.
Episode 7 time. So Wirt and Greg are like, Wirt particularly, not really Greg, is feeling very betrayed, not knowing the full story about Beatrice, and it just like leaves. And then they're walking through the woods in episode 7, and And oh my god, I'm doing this summary. This is so cute. Character growth of me. I feel confident in my abilities and understanding for once.
Yeah.
Like they have a run-in with the woodsman,
Yeah.
and then like Work kind of thinks he saves the day because he like kicks his lantern and they like scurry away, and then the beast is like, oh, they're running out of time, they're running out of hope, and then they go to this little cabin in the woods for shelter, and there's a bunch of turtles in a bucket. It's the same turtles that have been in like all of the episodes so far. And then a little girl comes,
What do they
like this little
mean?
servant girl, and is like, "Oh, you guys got to get out of here." And then Auntie Whispers comes,
I
and
love
she's like
her.
this creepy old lady voiced by like Jim Curry or
Jim
something.
Curry. Tim Curry.
Who voiced Tim Curry? Did I say Jim?
The Tim
That's
Curry.
funny.
Who the
Yeah,
fuck
Tim
is Jim
Curry.
The Tim
No,
Curry.
that was an. I think I mixed up Tim Curry and Jim Carrey, and I
How do
combined
you
them.
mix? You cannot mix up Tim Curry.
I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry. The Tim Curry, who I'm a
Tim
big fan
Curry.
of, even though I just mixed up his name
Oh
with
my
Jim Carrey on
God.
accident. You know, Tim Carrey, Jim Curry, my guys. She comes in and like you can tell that she controls this girl, and like it's like it's a really weird relationship that reminds me of like Mother Gothel and Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And like she keeps this girl trapped here doing just like her chores forever, and is like, oh, I smell children, and then was like, oh, it's just the turtles, there's no children. And she controls the girl with this like little ringing of a bell that like commands her. And then Wirt and Greg come out of hiding in the turtles from
Not
Auntie
the little
Whispers because the girl
turtles.
told them to hide. And she calls them turtles, it's cute. And then they start helping the girl clean, so that way like the command will be over and they can leave with her before the Auntie Whispers wakes up and gives her a new command that she has to
And they
obey
have
with
a
the
love
bell.
duet.
And then they're like getting the girl and Wirt are getting a little crush on each other, and it's kind of cute. And then the Auntie Whispers gets woken up by Greg and his frog, and I just want to say this episode Greg caused the problems and Wirt saved the day.
Well,
I just want to say
technically, the frog caused the problems. Greg didn't do anything.
you're
Greg
right.
never wanted to go in the house. That's the first words he says. Hey, as long as it's not that
Okay.
weird, creepy house. And then Wirt goes, "Shut up, Greg. We're going to the house."
Yeah, you're right. And then they hide from the ant in this closet, but when they're like alone with the ant without a bell command, it turns out that the demon that eats children that they thought was the ant is actually inside the girl, and the girl has like a demon in her that wants to eat children, and then the frog ate the bell, and then they used the frog bell to like command the demon to go away, and then the girl is okay, and then she goes and lives with the ant happily again, and then Wirt is like losing hope, and then the beast is like ready to strike.
Yeah.
Did I do a good job?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
What's the girl's name? Was it like Laurel?
I was gonna say like Lorena.
No, it's like Lauren, but like weird.
Old timey. It's like old timey Lauren, right?
It's not Laurel, but it's like
Old timey Lauren.
Lorna.
Yeah, I was close. I said Lorena. Okay, my thoughts on this episode. I thought it was so cute how much Greg looked up to Wirt when they're like walking through the woods at the beginning, because Greg thinks Wirt has a plan. Like he looks up to him and trusts him so much, and it's really cute. And then Wirt is like something like do whatever you want to Greg, and Greg's like, wow, that's a lot of power. And then the tree falls down from the woodsman, and Greg's like, did I do that with all my power? And that was hilarious. Greg is so funny, and I see why you like him so much.
You say that every
And then-
episode. No, you said
and
it for
then
episode 6.
all of a
because he
sudden-
laughs at the...
All of a sudden, when they're looking at that like cabin, and Greg's like, as long as it's not that cabin, and Wirt's like, shut up, Greg, let's go to the cabin. Greg says something, I don't remember what he said, but he said it in a really like grown-up serious voice, and it threw me the fuck off. Can you check what he said in that moment?
think we lost him. Haha, you got him with the old kickaroo. See,
That was
I got
cute.
it under control. I don't need Beatrice. Now we gotta find some place to wait in the rain. As long as it's not that old broken down. Whoa, shut up! Shut up, Greg! It's perfect. Come on, Greg. Ain't that just the way?
Yeah, that. When he said that, it scared me. What did he mean by that?
He said that in episode 1.
Did he?
Yeah.
What was the context in episode 1?
He said it at the end, I think. Let me look.
No, like it scared me because he went from being like, haha, got him with the old kickaroo, and then he's like, ain't that just the way?
Ain't
In
that
like
just
this
the
really
way?
solemn voice, like he knew Wirt was about to fucking die and there was nothing he could
Oh,
do
yeah.
about it. Like it
See,
was
this is
the
a good thing
most
about writing
terrifying
down
line
notes.
of the
Like,
show
you
for
can really
me.
look back at them.
And then they get into the cabin and Greg's like,
Episode
we're
1.
turtle rich.
Turtle
There's
Season 1.
turtles.
Ain't that just
There's
the
a bucket full
way?
of turtles. We're turtle wealthy. So many turtles. And he's just all silly again. And like, why was he so solemn and serious for that one
Oh,
line?
you're back. That's just something he said in episode 1, like right at the end.
It was so creepy, man.
I think it was like after the dog came out and was like, "Hey, Wirt, look, this is my best friend." And then he like hops up and leaves, and he's like, "Ain't that just the way? Like that's just the way life goes. Like this is just how it's going."
I know, but he's so happy-go-lucky, like cute, oblivious, and then we're going to this creepy cabin, and Greg's just like, ain't that just the way life goes? It was so weird.
Just get ready. He
It
gets more
bothers me.
grown up.
I'm so scared. I don't like it. Something's happening, and I don't know what, and I don't like it.
We'll figure out next week.
Anyway, Auntie Whispers comes in, and she's so creepy, and then she's like, oh, I smelled children, and Wirt's like, hey, I'm in high school, so now we have confirmation that he's probably 14 years old.
Yeah.
Which is cute. And then this bell was so fucking creepy, it kind of reminded me of the lantern, because it, like, glowed, and then the glowing, and then like the abusive mom like keeping her prisoner and like is like, oh, I'm just doing this for your own good, like I'm doing this because I love you. And it was so tangled, Rapunzel, Mother Gothel, and then their little crush on each other was so cute.
The duet was beautiful.
And then yeah, that was adorable. And then holy fucking shit, she's like a demon, and I was really worried that like it wasn't like a demon inside the girl, it was just the demon was the girl, and then I was like, oh, Wirt's crush is a monster. But
it was her
then they got rid of it. Like they got rid of it. And then I was like, why didn't the aunt just do this? Like, instead of abusing this girl, the aunt also could have done this with the bell to get rid of the demon, and she didn't.
She's just dumb.
And because it's and the girl is like wants to get away from this aunt so badly, and then at the end she's like, okay, I'm gonna go back and live with her, like happily living with her again.
Well, I think she realized that the aunt was just trying to like protect her from turning into the demon, because the demon was possessing her, and she's been with her for as long as we know. And
did the girl know the demon was possessing her?
I think so, but not really.
Not to the extent of like the bad.
Yeah.
And then Greg calls his frog Greg Jr., which was cute because earlier he was calling it Wirt Jr. And then I think the frog is normal again.
Yep.
And then
well, he's got a bell inside.
And then
now.
Yeah, that's true. And then we find out that Auntie Whispers is the sister of Adelaide, and is like, stay away from my sister, she's bad news. And it's like, damn, she's dead, we could have known that beforehand, but guess it's good to have the confirmation. But like, why find that out now? Share with the class.
So
yes,
I was watching me. So I was watching a video essay earlier, and the video that the essay guy was like made the same thing as you, where he was like, I'm confused to why they said that now and not later or earlier. And I read a comment that was like, I think they put it then just to confirm.
For like kids?
No, just to like make it worse for Wirt, because if like she knew she was bad, let me look up the comment. It kind of just like hammered the betrayal into Wirt more.
Like, oh man, she sucked and Beatrice was taking us there.
So we already knew Adelaide is evil. Her warning statement hits even harder when this initially terrifying woman ends up being more concerned for their safety than Beatrice, who Wirt grew to trust, cementing her betrayal and the hopelessness of this scenario even further into Wirt's head. And it's just like another punch in the gut, essentially.
Damn. Oh, actually, the very last thing I wrote for this episode without a checkbox next to it was in all lowercase, just damn. This episode had a really depressing ending where it's like, you know, they can't lose hope or else the beast will get to them. I don't know why them having hope keeps the beast away, but as long as they have hope they can get home, it seems like the beast can't take their souls until they're like, damn, I'm hopeless, lost in the woods. which probably happens to other kids sooner than it happens to them. They've had hope for a long time because of Beatrice, and now they're losing hope. And it's like, no, they can't. And then the Beast actually comes out and says it. Like, I was thinking it, but then the Beast, like, verbalizes it to confirm for the children watching that, oh yeah, they can't lose hope or else the Beast will get them. And it's really depressing. And then I'm done, and I'm stuck on that cliffhanger.
You don't
No.
question why the woodsman found them again?
I feel like the Beast is following them, and the woodsman is staying with the Beast.
That makes I get okay. I see that.
That was how I interpreted it.
Interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I like when Greg was when Lorna. There we go, Lorna. Like when Lorna walks in, and Greg's like, "We're here to burgle your turts," and that's just a really funny line. It just sounds funny when he says it.
Yeah, and then Greg just insisting they're here to rob them when they, like, were not, but then it seeming like they are because it's trying to make him shut up.
It's like,
no,
we're not. He's like, "We're here to burgle your turts," and he's like, no, we're not. She's like, "I believe you. Get in the basket." And then she's like, "Come out, my turtles." And like her voice is so soft and so sweet, and I just love it. Also when Greg was like walking up the stairs to like go look at Auntie Whispers, you know how he was like absolutely terrified when he got to the room where he like cuts him and he's like, "Oh my god!" He actually wasn't scared of Auntie Whispers. He was scared because he was watching the frog like deep throat the bell.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah. I mean,
that's really funny.
It's like he was just watching this frog like fully eat this bell whole, and
it just unhinges his jaw.
Literally, yeah. And Greg was like, "Oh my god!" And then that woke up Auntie Whispers, and then they ran down, which is why she didn't know that she lost the bell. Also, Auntie Whispers, her hands are like normal sized, and I'm just confused on how her body looks. She has like a huge fucking head, but then like Barbie hands. You know those like little hands that you can buy, and you can like put your sleeves over your hands, and you have like tiny hands. That's what that was given.
Yes. They are very. The sisters have similar but different vibes.
Yeah.
As sisters do.
I don't know if you're noticing this, you probably are, but each episode is getting colder, and each episode is getting darker. And it's leading up to something.
I am so lost right now. Like, I don't know what this show is a metaphor for in the slightest. I told
you already.
Like, when?
Also, you've said it already.
What?
We'll get into it in 2 weeks. We'll talk about it.
Did I know I was saying it?
Yeah.
What? Was I saying it as a theory?
I don't remember. You'll listen to it when you edit this, and you'll be like, "Wait a minute."
I'm so confused. Like, I feel like they're dead or something, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yes, you do, you fucker.
In episode, was it 5, when they got the pennies? They needed 2 pennies to cross a river. Where else do you see that in real life?
Death. Fuck. 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 They're dead.
You keep cutting in and out, and I just keep hearing the back half of fuck.
These boys are dead, and I don't know how, but they're dead.
Are they?
I don't know. Everything is giving metaphor for death, but then it's like, why?
Yeah, what does it mean? How are they dead?
It is interesting when we're in Beatrice, we're like, should I stay here forever or go back to the real world? Because that's giving, like, in Harry Potter or something when he kind of dies, but he has the choice to go back or not. And I don't know how that affects this, but that's a conversation that could be relevant.
I was watching the video essay before this, and the guy was like, Greg carries the team. He carries Beatrice and Wirt. He carries the story. But Wirt is like slowly becoming the hero. But he won't admit to himself that he's becoming the hero. Like, even when people are like praising him to be the hero, he's like, no.
Everyone's like, wow, you're a hero. And he's like, no.
And he goes into his little depressive state again. But Greg, he confirms Greg is carrying the fucking story.
Interesting.
I want to rock the rock facts rock. I want him as a tattoo.
Do it.
I have 2 theories that you had last episode that I want to share with you, and I want to ask if you still believe in these. So,
fun. I don't remember anything I've ever said.
You said that you either think that this is all a dream or that it's all like a play. And I think it would be so cool and so funny if just like you get to the end of the series and then the curtains draw back and it's just like they're on a stage the entire time.
I don't even remember saying this. That's so funny. No, I don't remember saying this at all. I think that this could be a dream that Wirt is having to deal with some things, but that's not my current theory. I don't think that this is a play, but that would be hilarious. Every episode starts like an old film, so like, why? If not meaning something, right?
Could just be stylistic.
Yeah, and then the train is... The train of thought he's dreaming. The train of thought he's dreaming. The train to death? I don't know.
We'll find out.
I'm so confused. When you watched this as a kid, did you pick up on all of this lore, or were you just like, haha, silly?
Oh no, I didn't think of anything. I don't think I picked up on the lore until like maybe 3 years ago when I was like, oh, this actually has deeper depth to it. And then I found out it's kind of like...
That's fascinating.
It follows the same story as another famous story, and I was like, oh.
What story?
And that's when I started looking into it. And I was like,
you
whoa.
fucker? What story?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
Like Odyssey or something?
No.
Who's your favorite character these episodes?
Episode 5, I like the lady from the tea family, and I like Greg. From episode 6, I like the tadpole babies, and I like Drum Greg.
Drum Greg.
Second half of episode 6, I like Mud Greg and Rock Fact Fact Rock, and
Rock Fact Fact Rock.
Episode 7, I like Laurel. Lore.
Yes.
Lore.
Okay.
Lore.
Oh,
Lorna.
fuck, is she lore?
Lorna. I like Lorna. And I like Auntie Whispers.
Wait, does she have lore?
What were your favorite characters?
As a duo, in episode 5 and episode 6, I liked Wirt and Beatrice, and in episode 7, I liked Wirt and Lore.
As a guy, as a manly man, I like the boy characters.
No, I said a girl with them, though. So that was as a duo. I like those duos. As an individual character by himself, Greg has really found his way into my heart.
Yeah, I knew you would.
I didn't care for him much at first, but he's so funny and cute in these episodes.
Yeah, he is. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Telly Talk. We have the other 2 episodes of Over the Garden Wall. We have our first and second one, and we have 2 more coming out after this one. So subscribe and look at those. We have a huge playlist of all our Telly Talk episodes. We have 60 episodes now. That is so crazy, and we're almost to 100. Isn't that so cool and so fun?
That's so cool and so fun.
I know, right? That's such a good thought, Tyler. And I think you guys should also like this video and leave a comment. What do you think is going on?
Why do you sound like this?
Have you seen the No? Have you not seen the show? Have I seen it? Yes, I have.
Are you having a stroke?
No. I'm spiraling.
Go take some drugs. Holy
I
shit.
wish I could. Have a good night. Have a happy Halloween. And I'm gonna go do drugs. Goodbye!